Okay, so I took it apart. I took all the pieces. I sprayed some degreaser. I used just a nylon plastic bristle brush and some hot water. Rinsed off as much of the grit that I could. And I dried it with paper towels. I used the air compressor. So I'm assuming once you put this back together, you don't want water shorting out some parts. Water and electrical parts don't mix. So I cleaned this. I used a little white Scotch-Brite pad. And then I also, after that, took a fine grit sandpaper and just cleaned it up a little bit. I'm not an expert on these. You don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to use rough grit. So I just tried to clean that a little bit. I cleaned up the washer. So you're going to put one flat washer. You're going to put this one with the 4 notches. And then the other flat washer. I had a Buddy's that was a Yamaha. And when I put it back together, it was really cupped. And it didn't want to spin. So I took this washer here and I took a socket and I kind of hammered it and made it so it's flat again, and then that kind of put less tension. It wasn't cupped. So this is going to slide through there. Now there is some bearings in there. I tried to kind of clean it a little bit. You might want to put a little bit of dab of grease. You probably don't want to go too crazy. Same thing on the other end. You know, I cleaned all of these, each part. You might want just a little bit of grease in there, because the other end of it is going to be in there. It's probably like a brass bushing, so just a tiny bit. You don't want oil and grease going everywhere. And then I cleaned this out. I sprayed it. Same thing. Use the air compressor to get as much water out, and now it's not all gritty and gunked up. So the trick to putting this back together is you're going to put the brushes, and then you got to use something to hold these springs back. And you got to have, or if you get somebody to help you, and put the brushes out of the way so that you can slide this back in. So once you slide this in, then you're just going to put the 2 bolts through. And so I'm going to do that next and test it out and see if it works.